Auzubillahi minash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatum min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum students. I am here to present quiz questions for Biology 5090 for the grade O2, Term 2, Unit 3 and Unit 4. The first question is, what is homozygous? Actually, the homozygous means the term used to refer to a genotype that has two identical alleles for a particular trait. Then define phenotype. The expression of the genotype of an individual, or you may say that the physical characteristics of an organism are called phenotype. Which gender determines the sex of a child? Male determines the sex of a child. What are the male sex chromosomes? Male sex chromosomes are X, Y. In blood groups, which allele is recessive? IO. IO allele is recessive for the blood group. In blood groups, which alleles are codominant? IA and IB alleles are codominant. A person with an A and a B allele for blood group would have what type of blood group? That person have blood group AB. Then question is, how can you try and get theoretical ratios to match observed or actual ratios? By increasing the sample size so it's more representative. Then the question is, why are actual ratios not exactly the same as theoretical ratios in genetics? And the answer is because fertilization of gametes occurs by chance. Each time a gamete is fertilized, it is an independent event of what has gone before it. Then if there are 30 boys and 15 girls, what is the ratio? So answer will be 2:1. Question is, pure breeding plants are said to be what? Pure breeding means what? And the answer is homozygous. Question is, characteristics are determined by your allele combinations. How many alleles for each characteristics end up in the gamete? And the answer is only one allele. In meiosis, what happens to the diploid number? As meiosis is a reduction division, so it becomes half. In meiosis, what happens to the diploid number? It becomes half. In a diploid organisms, particularly if I am talking about the humans, how many chromosomes pairs are there? There are 23 pairs. What are multiple alleles? Answer is, where you have more than 2 alleles for a particular gene, then it is said to have multiple alleles. Next question is, define codominant allele. And the answer is where both alleles contribute or expressed in the phenotype. What does heterozygous mean? Answer is one recessive and one dominant allele present in the genotype, then the genotype is said to be heterozygous. Then homozygous recessive means, what does homozygous recessive means? It means two recessive alleles present in the genotype. Then next question is, what does homozygous dominant means? And the answer is, if two dominant alleles are present in the genotype, they are said to be homozygous dominant. What is a dominant allele? If you only need one copy of this allele to express this characteristic, then it is said to be dominant allele. What is a recessive allele? An allele whereby you need two copies of it to express that characteristics it's not expressed if the dominant allele is present. Then that allele is called recessive allele. What is a gene? It is a short section of DNA made up of nucleotide bases which codes for a specific order of amino acids which makes a protein. What is an allele? Allele is a different variant of a same gene. Allele is an alternative form of a same gene. What is a genotype? The genetic makeup of an organism. It describes all the alleles that an organism have. Name the reproductive organ of angiosperms. Flower is the reproductive organ of angiosperms. Then the next question is, what is stamen? So the answer is, stamen is a male reproductive part of a flower. In which structure ovule develops into after fertilization? Ovule develops into seed after fertilization. Which structure develops into fruit after fertilization? Then ovary becomes fruit. What is the function of sepals? They protect the flower when it is in a bud stage. Which structure attracts insects for pollination? Petals are brightly colored, so they attract insects for pollination. What is the function of filament? Filament supports the anther. Define germination. The process of a seed growing into a new plant is called germination. What is the function of testa? The seed coat protects the seed until it is ready to germinate. Define micropyle. Micropyle is actually a hole in the testa that lets water into the seed. Which structure stores energy the seed will use to grow into a new plant? Cotyledon stores energy. Define dispersal. Scattering of fruits or seeds to other places is called dispersal of seed or fruit. Name of any two agents how fruits and seeds dispersed. So the name of two agents are wind and animals. Characteristics of fruits and seeds that can be dispersed by wind. What are the characteristics? So they must be small, dry, lightweight, and have hairs or wing-like structures which help them to float in the air. Where are genes located? And the answer is, genes are located on the chromosomes. What are gametes? Actually, sex cells or reproductive cells are called gametes, that is sperms and eggs. Is zygote diploid or haploid? So zygote is always diploid. Define mitosis. Mitosis is actually a cell division in which two genetically identical diploid cells are produced. Define meiosis. Meiosis is a reduction cell division in which four genetically different haploid cells are produced. What are chromosomes? Chromosomes are actually a thread-like body in a cell nucleus that carries the gene in a linear order. So that's all about your quiz questions. All the best. Allah Hafiz.